Om Shri Sai Ram. King Parikshit, the grandson of the Pancha Mahayodhas, the Pandavas, got his deliverance by merely listening to the stories of Lord Krishna, which was narrated to him by sage Shukha during the last 7 days of the king's stay on Bhuloka. Offering our most humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Swami, let us continue this evening's satsang through that same aspect of bhakti, Shravanam. On behalf of the alumni of the Sri Sathya Sai Educational Institutions, I take immense pleasure in extending a very warm welcome to the learned speaker, to his family members, distinguished guests, respected elders, and my dear brothers and sisters, to this 41st edition of Samarpan. As our beloved Swami says in the Bhagavata Vahini, and I quote, "People believe that incarnations of God happen only for 2 reasons: the punishment of the wicked and the protection of the righteous. But those represent only one aspect of the task. The granting of peace and joy, of a sense of fulfillment to the seekers who have striven long, this too is the task that God comes down for. The avatar or form incarnate is only the concretization of the yearning of the seekers. It is the solidified sweetness of the devotion of the godly aspirants. The formless assumes the form for the sake of these aspirants and seekers. Today, we will be listening to one such aspirant, Shri M.K. Venkateshan. When I was having a casual conversation with Uncle, I came to realize the various roles that our beloved Swami has played in his life: that of a concerned mother, a disciplining father, a loving friend, and above all, the all-knowing Sadguru. A brief about Sir. Shri M.K. Venkateshan is a gold medalist in BSc Physics Honours from the batch of 1950 of the Central College of Bangalore. He was appointed to the IAS in 1952. He retired in the rank of Secretary, Government of India. He has held several senior positions across his illustrious career. He was a member of the advisory committee of the Sri Sathya Sai Trust and the Sri Sathya Sai Publication Society of Karnataka. As on today, he is also responsible for organizing and conducting bhajans on one of the days of the week at Sai Geetanjali JP Nagar. He has also been instrumental in shaping the study circles at this Samiti over the past 17 years. On behalf of this august gathering assembled here, I request Shri M.K. Venkateshan to share with us the Swami that he saw. Dear Sir.
Om Shri Sai Ram. With pranams at the lotus feet, who was Guru, Guru of Gurus, Guru to the power of infinity. So, Sankata Harana Shri Sai Ramana Pankaja Charana Namo Namo. Pankaja Charana Namo Namo is salutations to lotus feet. So, today I feel overwhelmed because it was my privilege, Swami's entire grace, that from February 1969, when I walked through that main gate, to date, at various times, in various groups, he has kept me going. like an old model car for which spare parts will not pay. Swami, I can't even open my eyes because you are equal to 1,000 suns. So, please help me. I take this as a pariksha to which you are exposing. Please see me through this. In this effort, I am encouraged by the fact that there are so many Vayo Vruddhas, Shila Vruddhas, Jnana Vruddhas. People have served Swami for generations without even being noticed. Before them, I feel that it's a rare occasion for me to thank all of them for the role they have played. Because they came on at a time when even books were not available. So again I pray to Swami, Mukam karoti vachalam panghum langhayate girim yat krupa tumavaham vande paramananda madhavam. Having said that, I am firm in my belief that in every samiti, every study circle, if you approach it in a spirit of humility and surrender, he is present. Due to limitation of our charma chakshush, we can't see him in his physical form. But you can hold him, what do they call it nowadays? DMAT form. So if share certificates can be held in DMAT form, it's only your faith which limits you. And Shraddhavan Labate Jnanam, Prajwalito Jnanamaya Pradipha. These are four things which Swami used to din into our ears, din into our ears. So having said that, I feel his presence. In fact, by a coincidence, now I am reading 2 slokas of Bhagavad Gita every day. There is a diary, Bangalore Press diary, where he gives with the English translation. And what I was reading was the Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. Canto 13, 14 and 15. Swami used to repeat, Sarvatah Panipadam Tat Sarvatokshi Shiro Mukham. He is telling Arjuna, look here fellow, I am present everywhere. So, Kshetra is field. This is a magnetic field where the vibrations of Swami, we are like iron filings. We keep on getting drawn here, drawn here. Like the pranavayu which you don't see, but which keeps you alive. Swami's presence, always feel it. In fact, he gave a warranty, Jantane, Ventane, Kantane, Untane. Why do you think that we can't see his body? That warranty has expired. His prema for us is so much that it will be there in this generation and your future lives also, provided you believe. A small policy you hold for that very comprehensive insurance, my dear friend, is a pushpam patram palam toya. Just think of him. Write 4 lines of Likita Nama Japai. It's a cafeteria approach. He has given you so many ways of doing sadhana. Now, having said that, it's my duty to salute my parents and my uncles, my elder sister, and generations of teachers who set an example in low living and high thinking. And their sheer faith in God kept them going. Need not be Satya Sai Baba. I have seen ladies, child is seriously ill. She will take a bath, then just 1 rupee coin or something. Swami. Halaladdo, neeraladdo, Swami. Nan kailagollappa idu. What is beyond me, obviously, goes to a specialist. And that, now psychologists will tell you that even in serious illnesses where lack of willpower kills a person, but they survive. And particularly this hall, I have had the privilege of seeing Kasturi. Incidentally, he was my lecturer in college. That time I never thought we would meet here. Mr. Gokak, who was principal Karnataka College, Dharwad, was my neighbor practically when I was his assistant collector Dharwad in 1954. And then, of course, Kutumba Rao, all those great Viraj Rao, Justice Iradi. I mean, it's only my memory which limits me, literally dozens. All those great souls were called to Swami's mission. And some of them dedicated their whole life to it. Whole life to it. As Baba used to say, devotion is neither partial nor seasonal. Either you are a devotee or you are not. If you are a devotee, even when you are cooking, if you think you are preparing prasadam, that takes it through. Now, I also was fortunate to grow up in Bangalore, in Visheshwarapuram, Basangudi area, where we had Shankar Mata, Ramakrishna Ashram, all sorts of temples. So we started going to temples, or temple compound at a very early age. First, just there used to be a tap just inside the entrance to the temple to wash the feet. After football, we used to wash the feet, and one kai mudaro hogro, those archakas used to say, I saw Swami. Then, and learned Harikathas. It's a pity that the Harikatha tradition has gone off, right up to Bhadragiri Keshudas, two earlier generations of Harikatha dasas. They did what is now a meals are delivered home delivery service. So a spiritual way of life, they could kindle a spark. Then later, as a IAS professional, we were under training for 15 days at the National Defence Academy, Dehradun. There I had the privilege of going to Rishikesh and meeting Swami Shivananda. Then of course Swami Ranganatha Radha. All these people did this. So as I said, in Sri Krishna says, 4 types of people come to me. Artha, Arthartho, Brahma Jigyaso, Jnani. As far as I am concerned, Jnani part you can rule out. Strike off whichever is not applicable. Brahma Jigyaso, good heavens, you will have to be a rishi. Artha, Swami has given enough to me without asking. It would be stupid to ask for more. Artha, yes. It is whenever you have worry, he is there. Now, having said this very briefly, because it's relevant to what comes a little later. Swami, I had heard about Swami. First, probably 1965, when I had come back from Home Ministry. We were staying in Malaysia. And it happened, Mr. Keshav Rao, Keshav Rao was state president for some time. His wife is my mother's younger sister. So they used to tell us, hey Venkatesha, Puttaparthi hogta idivi, neenu ondsala hogo. Somehow never occurred to this fellow. They say the Bulawa must come. You know, he decides when who will come to him, okay? Then I let it pass. I had a lot of professional and family responsibilities. Then 69, I was posted as collector of Karwar. And we were there for some time, went towards the end of 68, I remember, it was July or August. It's very heavy rainy season. And we in the Bombay cadre were required to do 20 days touring with at least 10 night halts. Rainy season, it was 10 touring days with minimum 5 night halts. So from Karwar, I was doing a night halt in a place called Velekeri. It's a small port. There is no light, no electricity. Normally there, keeping Petromax, I used to read up to 10 o'clock at night or something. That day I was driving my car. We didn't have a government vehicle, a Fiat. I suddenly realized I had not carried my books. Then I had a very fine gentleman called Kurdekar, who was my PA. He said, Sahib, me pahato. Because I was old Bombay cadre, I knew Marathi. Me pahato, Sahib kotte milnar ka. Oh, bara. And would you believe it? He went to Vishwanath Shettiya's house. That is father-in-law of Nagesh Dhakappa. And he also, I think, maybe Panchayat chairman. So he came in the black jeep or something. And he said, Sahibri, otta irritawo, nale munjane nodono. And it was the souvenir of Dharmakshetra. In May 1968, Swami had inaugurated. On that occasion, they were writing from various devotees, senior devotees. I read through this. Then a couple of months passed, and Swami, in his infinite grace, decided to visit the North Karnataka area. Starting with Dharwad, where Dr. Adke was the Vice Chancellor. Earlier I knew Dr. Adke because he was executive engineer in Kolhapur when I was the additional collector. But I didn't know he was a side devotee. The occasion didn't arise. So to prepare the ground for that tour, Mr. Kasturi came along to Karwar. Maybe July, August, September, sometime, September maybe. Then naturally I requested him, sir, I will be, if you will visit my house. After all, you are my teacher. Ayyo, adikkenappa bartini. Earlier, he used to write plays for us to enact dramas in the Karnataka Sangha in Kannada. Ayyo, bartini adakke. No, enamma, hage. And he told us quite a bit about Swami. Higappa gotta ninge? Illa sir. Yaru ninge helde ilve? Manikema ivaru ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಸರ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಹೋಗಲಿಲ್ಲ? I said, ತಲೆ ಕೆಟ್ಟೋಗಿತ್ತು. I mean, that's the only answer. I said, somebody wants to feed you and you keep your mouth shut. I mean, he said, ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. Then he went round and he just... Then little later, a couple of months later, Mr. Shettiya came to me. He was district Sai Samiti chairman, very fine gentleman. Those people used to travel 2 nights and 3 days to reach Puttaparthi from Karwar in those days. He said, hige sir, Karwarige bandre, tavu barbeku. I said, I have always believed in God. So I welcome this opportunity. And then Dr. Adke telephoned me. He said, you have worked in Dharwad. In fact, I did the land acquisition for that campus much earlier. I said, Aglappa bartene, adikkeno date gite. So then a date was fixed. Swami was to arrive in Dharwad, make all the things. And my children were very enthusiastic. And then should not disappoint them. I said, adike no, almost up to 1 hour drive beyond Yellapur. My district itself was there. I said, we can easily go in Yellapur and from there go to Dharwad. I was quite familiar with Dharwad, that road. No problem. So they had prepared for it. And the day arrived. This is very important from here. It was to be Deepavali Day, 1968, when that light came into my life. That's what I am saying. 2 days earlier, the Chief Minister planned an official trip. Mr. Virendra Patil, who incidentally used to practice as an advocate when I was posted in Bidar. Then he was to come there and go to Goa. Then I had read the writing, Swami considers work is worship, duty is God. I said, I can't leave my district without government permission, right, as a district magistrate. Some other time. Children were all very, very disappointed. But they accepted. Then cut to that very morning. Therefore, as a courtesy, I rang up Dr. Adike, and I think I sent word to Sethia also, saying, sorry pa, I was planning to come there. It is not his will. Then would you believe it? I used to get up at about 4:35 in those days, go for a walk. I was sitting in that front room of the house. A police wireless came. That wireless says, CM's visit to Karwar cancelled. He will fly direct to Goa. I thought nothing of it. I kept it. Then one by one, I think of the daughters, Gayatri is the one who takes more initiative, number 3. I don't know whether she has come here today. So, she said, Daddy, have you seen this telegram? Then behind her, the number 2, Ratna came. The number 1, Meenakshi came, who was in matriculation at. I said, so what? CM is not coming. That means we can go to Dharwad. And my PA Kurdikar, he used to come with her. He also came in. And in his typical thing, he said, I think if your honor wants to go, your honor can go. I said, I don't want my honor to go. But what you are saying is, Mr. Venkateshan, oh, I see. Then I also, that inertia. ಒಂದು ಇಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಹಾಕ್ಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನಾಟ್ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ಡ್, ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಎಲ್ಲ 11 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. Some daddy, look, our picnic to Devgad also you cancelled. You can't argue with a daughter. Especially I was not trained to argue at all. Because Lakshmi, my wife, Saubhagyavati, who is here, with whom I have been married 63 years. So my mama's daughter, incidentally. She never raised the voice, though I used to say all sorts of things to her, even to this day. So she said, Nodi, idu madabedi, eno makla ashe. Then Kurdikar said, sir, that is no problem, sir. We will send a message to Tashildar Yellapur, petrol ಹಾಕ್ಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು ಸಾಹೇಬ್ರೆ, ಏನು ಕಷ್ಟ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಲ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್, ಬೆಳಗಾವಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗಿಲ್ವಾ ಡಿವಿಷನಲ್ ಕಮಿಷನರ್. So in a good cause, they bulldozed me and I am grateful. But I had not informed anyone. And Dakappa had sort of gone probably earlier or something. I said, ನಾವು ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲಮ್ಮ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ Manikema had told me about the Seva adult, and nobody crashes in like that. Or goes for an interview unless he calls you. I am very sorry. He said, we will do Swami. I didn't know that if Swami wants it, then he will find a way. Who are you? So we drove. Then, because I had not taken permission from government to stay outside my district overnight, within the district we will be touring. I said, whatever happens, before midnight, I must return to Karwar. I think it's 220 kilometers. Of course, roads were fairly good, but there is a ghat section, R-by. Yes. So on the way I told Tahshildar, ನೋಡ್ರಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಾಮಿದು 5 ಗಂಟೆಗೇನೋ 4:04 ಮುಗೀತು ಅಂತ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ, ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು. ಆದಮೇಲೆ ನಾ ಬರ್ತೀನಿ, ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಅವರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ 20 minutes ಎಲ್ಲ. ಅರೈವಲ್ 8:40 or whatever. Then ತಕ್ಷಣ ಬಂದ ಕೂಡಲೇ ಡಿನ್ನರ್, ಬಾತ್ರೂಮ್ ತರ್ತು. ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ 4 bathrooms, so each person can use a different bathroom so that the turnover. What foolishness. So I laugh at myself. Then they were all used to me. I would never keep them waiting even on a shield tours. Agrappa ಮಾಡೋಣ್ರಿ, ಅದು ಮಾಡಿರಿ, ತರಕಾರಿ ತರಿಸ್ರಿ, ಬದನೆಕಾಯಿ. So I drove off. Then I knew the way because Dharwad was familiar. I reached the gate of Dr. Vice Chancellor's house almost around 11:30. It was quite warm in the room. These children were saying, when do we go in, why not we go in? I said, no, I am sorry. Up to here, public have come, so I have come as a member. No. Then would you believe it, some gentleman called Narke, who was an assistant engineer in Dharwad, where I had served much earlier, 1954. He said, Sahibre, tavu illi yaake nintire? He had come from Bijapur to see Swami. ಹಿಂಗಪ್ಪ, ಅವ್ರ ಖಬರ್ ಇಲ್ಲೇನ್ರಿ? ಐ ಸೈಡ್, ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ, ಅಡಿಕೆ ಅವ್ರ ಪಾಪ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ನಾನು ಬರೋಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ. ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೆಂಗೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ರೀ, ಅವರ ಕೂಸೆಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತಾರೆ, ತಾವು one minute ಇರ್ರಿ. Then he spoke to some Thevadal people and they said, ನೋಡ್ರಿ, ಇವ್ರು ಕಾರವಾರಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಹಿಂಗೆ ಪೋರ್ಟಿಕೋದಾಗ ಬಂದು ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಳ್ರಿ. So they allowed us to go up to portico. Then from the portico the door opens, open 30, courtyard. Other side of the courtyard Baba was sitting, as I noticed later. We stood there and they said, Neergir enaru bekri? 2 minutes later, who is Mr. Venkateshan from Sevadal, man from Dharwad, mind you, who wouldn't have seen me. Who is Mr. Venkateshan from Dharwad? Then my children said here. I said, I can't be the only Venkateshan from Karwar. He went in. 2 minutes later he said, Baba is calling Mr. Venkateshan, who is collector of Karwar. Oh, then I said, there is, as far as I knew, there was only one collector. We didn't have additional collector. So then they said, Daddy go, Daddy go. So the Sevadal person took me there. Swami was talking to somebody. He turned around. He had his back to me. Venkatesha, vastuva. Telusu, no vastuva. I had knowledge of a little Telugu because I grew up in. I was gone. Even when I faced my do or die IAS interview, I immediately said, Ninno jochidananyodayeti. Oh, Baba, eat that Baba. And then he immediately said, the moment I call you, a wife and children marte bitre evaru. He told, I don't know, Kasturi might have told him, Nimma hale shishya idena kalside nino Kasturi. Na karth kudlene arello. Then he told a lady or somebody, Lakshmi, Meenakshi, Ratna, Gayatri, Nagendra. Allidare karkomba. So there I am sure Gayatri would have overtaken the others. Come, before they change their mind. Swami, how will he change his mind? Then Ratalli, they were standing just inside. He said, no, ee kade bani. Then he said, illi kutko. Made me sit at his feet, which I did without question. Then he said, ಒಳ್ಳೆದಾಯಿತು ಬಂದಿದ್ದ. Then they were having an argument. Best way to get the maximum out of Swami in the 4 districts. He immediately told somebody there, Venkateshan, he has served in most of the districts, our roots ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿ. Then Swami came to our Haglipa, Karnataka function. Then 5 o'clock I wanted to leave because midnight. So he asked me after tea, when I took leave of him, Karwar, ಎಷ್ಟು ಟೈಮ್ ರೀಚ್ ಆಗ್ತೀಯಾ? 11:45. Then I said, get in. Would you believe it? My car has just turned out of the gate. Gokak later told me. He said, he laughed. When this Venkateshan fellow says, he reaches. ಅವನಿಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಘಾಟ್ ರೋಡ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಗಡ್ಡಾಂತರ ಇದೆ. I am protecting him. What will happen? He said he will go above the ghat to Yellapur, go inside for the bathroom. Though that car has done 300 kilometers, it will refuse to start. Then he will shout at his wife, he will shout at everybody, he will go to the mirror, shout at himself. Car won't start. And then the children will fall asleep, ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇರ್ತಾನೆ, ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಬೇಗ ಎದ್ದು ಸೇಫಾಗಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ. And he had told me, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೆ ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಇರ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ. That was the following day. I had a clear one day. It happened exactly like that. They brought a mechanic from lorry. Then we were taught not to park the car in the portico. So ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ I said, ಇನ್ಯಾರು ಬಂದರೆ ಪುಷ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು. I said, anyway they are pushing the car. Let me put it in gear. Turn the ignition and start. Brrrr, it started. Then without switching off, I said, get in before it we reached. Next day I received Swami in Ankola, that is Balaiguli Cross. First we went to Mr. Setia's house. Swami talked to the family. They were old devotees. Then I think there was a function in that school where Mrs. Thakappa we have seen as a school girl. You see? So then we went off to Karwar, where he came to the house. There was a function on the beach, Jalasamudra. He addressed in Kannada. We came home. Then Lakshmi was busy in the kitchen. There were only 2 big bedrooms of the main hall. The police guard room was vacated. And the Sethiyas agreed to stay in that room. We had told him, I surrender to you. ನನಗೆ ಅರೇಂಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಒಂದು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನೀವು ಮಾಡಿರಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಬಂದು ಅಪಚಾರ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು, ಬೇಡ. Then he said, ಗೋಕ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸರ್ಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಹೌಸಿಗೆ ಕಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸಾಹೇಬ್ರೆ, ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಸೇವಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಕೋತೀರಿ ಬಿಡ್ರಿ. ಗ್ರೇಟ್. Then Swami went into that room, freshened and came out. And there was a jhula there, old uyale. Then suddenly we said, where is Swami? Swami is sitting on the uyale. And one of my son or somebody was there also. The others were crowding around him. Then I said, ಏನಿದು ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಕೈಲಿ they are taking liberties. ಇಲ್ಲ ನೇನೆ ಪಿಲಿಸ್ತಿ ಬಾ. I will push. He put one of my children and then pushes the jhula. And he said, Venkama used to push me like this. When I was a child, he was referring to his. I said, what grace, what grace. And then, Swami, we don't know how to look after you. Yemano aite kshamasbeku. He said, na illu kada. Later he had told me once, when my wife had gone to Delhi, children were not there. I am alone in the house. Why nana odsbuttiya? In this very hall he had asked me. Then night he retired after dinner. Early morning, I used to recite Venkateshan Suprabhatam. I didn't know this Suprabhatam. So, on our side, I opened the door, just outside the corridor. We had kept that, and Kasturi had given us a photo of Baba, then other gods. Kausalya Supraja Rama Purva Sandhya Pravartate. Then Swami's door opens. Then I thought, Swami wants something, hot water. Swami was standing in that white robe inside, which only on birthdays I did. Just he had shaved, I think, the little Sophie. Hey, Ra. Oh, then I said, obviously, if he says Ra, it can't be Seva then, because they would not do anything. Maybe. Ikkade chepko. So I recited Venkatesh Suprabhatam, looking at his feet. And after that also he was standing. Namaskaram chesko. Then of course, food was there. And when he left, he said, Yake, photo ilva? Kasturi had told me, without his permission, you can't photograph, okay? So I had not. I said, Illa Swami now hedilla. Then he tells one of the Sevadal, first hairpin bend idiyalla, it is on a hilltop. Alli obbaru photographer idare, avarge kari. So he took a photograph. And the district judge, whose bungalow was halfway down the hill, family group, he said, that is myself, Lakshmi, the 4 children. That district judge came and tall man stood just behind me. When the photo was developed, would you believe it, he was not there. So he was there in the negative. Was he in the final print? The answer is in the negative. No. So the control over the Panchabhutas, unless he wills it. Then there is of course another group where Shetya is there. Then he left. Thereafter, of course, the next thing was in Vrindavan, where first when we came, there was a pond there, 1969. This was Vrindavan's ashram started in 64. Bhajan started here in 68. 69, that circular shed was built. There was a tree there. So when I first came, Kaka Sahib Dikshit's nephew, Dr. Dikshit, his wife, they were in a small cottage, open space, sand. Swami was here in that old building, the Ranas. So he gave us darshan. And 2 or 3 things which happened in Vrindavan. One of them concerns my granddaughter Soumya, first daughter's daughter, who is now a United Nations employee posted in, that is much later. She was a precocious child. Earlier, my daughter, incidentally, Swami had told me, Yavbekar Olagba. But I used to stand near the gate. Chandramohan's father, Mr. Krishnan, used to be there. Hogi sir, illappa ille kai mugi. Swami used to yenaro helbeka. I said, niಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರೋದು ಯಾವುದು Swami? ಏನಾರು ಬೇಕಾ? I would say, Swami, you know what I want. You know what I need. Give me what I deserve. Your grace, that is. But I made one exception when my first daughter lost the child. She went into a sort of shock, and so we brought her here from Desai Nursing Home. And then, Swami Buddhi. Then he immediately called her and he had told her, Yenilla, next year bartiya, ಒಳ್ಳೆ child agte ho. And would you believe it, this Soumya arrived. And from Desai Nursing Home, I came to say, Ade, girl aito, Desai nursing home. Before I could open my mouth, he told me. Then much later, we brought that Soumya here, to that old building. There was an arch there. Ladies used to be on that side. We would sit in that veranda. And before she came, my wife and her own mother, my daughter, ಹಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾತಾಡಬಾರ್ದು, ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಬಂದಾಗ ಮಾತಾಡಬಾರ್ದು, ಡೋಂಟ್ ಟಾಕ್ to the child, to the 4-year-old. Then Swami came first and went to the ladies' side. And he probably asked Prabhat Sridharan, hagidiya? So this girl goes and pulls the robe. See Baba, she shows the photograph. Then I was sitting in the veranda. He came and said, ನೀನೇ ಮ್ಯಾಜಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಷ್ಟು ಜೋರು ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ. She has issued stay order to Baba. A sense of humor. లేదు ಭಗವಂతుడు కదా, బిడ్డలప్ప, ನಾವು ಅವ್ರ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಹಾಳು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. Children are like God. She thought that this man suddenly talks and he needs some guidance. Then my daughter thereafter used to avoid, hoping that Swami will not come near her. He is Kshama Murti. Kshama Murti Sai Baba, Prema Murti Satya Sai. Ikbar. That we learned later, no? Then next year she got this thing. Swami, idhar hesar Sahana. He said, Soumya Sahana. He had predicted the second daughter also later. Then once, how as a host, if they take human form, they must observe. Mr. Govind Narayan was the governor. Earlier in Home Ministry, he was my boss. He was later Chief Secretary UP, a very distinguished civil servant. Originally devotee of Anandamayi, later Swami. Swami had gone to their house number of times in Delhi. So Chandra Govind Narayan, they were very good to us. In fact, we have done bhajan in Raj Bhavan when Swami came there. We had a group. Then my wife, we all came together. Swami was here. We two of us had chairs were here facing this way. Then I came along with the governor because ladies. Then suddenly Lakshmi was missing, my wife. What had happened? Chandra Govind Narayan had, jaldi aao, Baba is standing there, In a hurry, she kept her footwear on. And once she missed that group, very rightly Sevadal people said, our hogbardama, our governor group. So she was standing there. Then Swami immediately said, my wife ignored me. Then he said, Karkomba illi. And then he told Chandra Goy, ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾಕೆ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ? And Swami won't go up. Govind Narayan was also standing. He said, today you are presiding. So Adhyaksha first must go and take his chair. Then only he came. And super speciality inauguration, he helped Vajpayee up the dais. He said, Aap aiye. You are elderly. That was his prema. Then the next experience I would put is, towards the end of my service, I was posted in Bombay, chairman Exim Bank, something like that. I got cancer. We were only two, Lakshmi and I. And when the bleeding started, etc., we had planned a trip to Badrinath. Next day we were to go to Delhi from there. Son was in final year MD. We didn't tell the children because they would feel shocked. Nor did we tell my mother, who was old age. At that time, my son-in-law's sister got married in Bangalore. So, and I had to go to Portugal because I was chairman of it. And they had said, anyway, we can't start radiation till the wound heals, the surgery. I said, let me go to Portugal, let go. Which was very cruel of me. I should have thought of my wife. Then I had told my wife, you go to Bangalore. She came by train. Then she asked my younger brother Srinivas. He's a very mobile person. It's only here I think he sits in one place. He's a wonderful fellow. She told him, Yenappa, ನನಗೆ ಬೃಂದಾವನಕ್ಕೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತೀಯ. So my daughter was here, second daughter. My mother, Lakshmi, second daughter. Came to the hall. And Lakshmi was sitting somewhere there because naturally. Swami straight comes to her. On one side, my mother and my daughter are there. The other side, Srinivas and his wife. Venkateshan elli? She said, Swami Portugal ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಹೇಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶ? He knows about it. Now, unfortunately, my wife could not tell him because mother, it will, ಏನೋ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸರಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಏನು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಡ, ನಾನು ನೋಡ್ಕೋತೀನಿ. And it went into remission promptly, responded to treatment. If it had spread to the lymph nodes, it would have been very tricky. Swami. And finally, I would like to say something which happened in Puttaparthi, where we went a number of times. First time we went to Shivratri, drove back at night. My elderly parents, father-in-law, they were there. Now, I had put enough. At that time, Penukonda was the only petrol pump. I had filled the. Then I don't know whether the engine overheated. Night after Lingodbhavam, Isa morning, this thing and all that, Kasturi holding. At the place where I should have taken a right turn, I took a left turn towards Kadiri. Went off, it looked very unfamiliar, went on and on, ran out of petrol. Then finally somebody said that tonight there will be nobody there, no electricity. Then said, ekkada sir meeku? Penukonda akkade ekkada udi meer ekkada pota unnaru sir. Then petrol off. Just 5 kilometers short of Penukonda. Elderly people leaving the car in the jungle going. Then, would you believe it, a block development officer was returning to Penukonda at 11 o'clock at night. Normally, I thought average government servants, it's difficult for them to work beyond 5 o'clock in the evening. He said, this man, I don't know who recruited. He said, yes, sir, any problem? Then, of course, I told him, oh, then you can do one thing, sir. You come with me in the jeep. And he left his driver, he drove. Woke up the petrol pump fellow, took a jerry can. Then he said, I will just drive you back, sir. So then Penukonda we filled up, we came. I am convinced that it was Swami who came to my rescue. Then 1984, what happened between 77 and 84, we had bhajans in different residences. One venue was my house, another was a very senior devotee called Dr. Ayya. Then Venkatramans who are still with us in Sai Gitanjali, etc. My own brother and his wife. We had not informed Swami. We took a van. Because that time I got transferred to Bombay, Sundarrao also got transferred. We broke up that. Washington Subbarao was a member of that group, which was a great favor. So we decided to break up. We said, let us all make one trip to. So in a van we arrived. Then 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, morning darshan had just ended. Then we said, let us see darshan. We stood outside the compound. We had darshan. Swami was moving around. And then suddenly after Swami went into that room off the veranda upstairs, old building, I'm thinking. Sir, are you from Bangalore, the bhajan group? Dr. Ayya, Venkateshan? I said, yes, we are. Then come this way, sir, your accommodation has been arranged. Those two round buildings had just come up. Canteen is on your right, you walk straight. No? So he had arranged accommodation there. And he sent word, let them rest. And 4 o'clock, with somebody, Sevadan people came. He had sent murkh, coffee in flasks. Evening I will give you an interview, don't worry. Swami will see you. ಇದು ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. And for your meals also, if you want it served here, we will. I said, no, meals we will go to the canteen. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಬೇಡ. There one screen ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು they served us separately one table. Then we saw Swami. He came round. Then I said, ಏನು ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಇದು? ಗೊತ್ತು ನೀ ಬರ್ತೀಯ ಅಂತ ನೋಡ್ಕೋಬೇಡವಾ? I said, why the karasha? He said, in our younger days, if a Tahshildar comes, 2 sweets, pakoda emi, this is. He said, Swami, in every piece of that I see your love. I was overwhelmed. Then he called us for interview. We all went in. He spoke to us for about an hour and a half. Dr. Ayya, they were all very elderly relatives. He made fun of him. Ivar hatra ಒಂದು ಹಳೆ ಕಾರ್ ಇತ್ತು. He said, can I give you a lift? Swami, I would say, I am in a hurry, ನಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಪ್ಪ. Because that car would stop. Divine will cannot make up a very time, no? Then he put us at ease. Mama, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ? All of them were earlier devotees. Then at the end of it, there were tears in my eyes. He said, ಬೇಜಾರು ಪಟ್ಕೋಬೇಡ, ಎಲ್ಲಿದ್ದರಲ್ಲೇ ಆದರೆ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಭಜನ್, ಅದಕ್ಕೇನು ಆಯಿತು. ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ, ಐ ಡಿಡ್ ಪಾದ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ದೆನ್ he said, just one moment. ಕೈ ತೋರಿಸು. Once or twice for speaking in class. ಕೈ ತೋರಿಸು, ಐ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಬೀನ್ ಕೇನ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ದಿ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್. ಕೈ ತೋರಿಸು ಅಂದರೆ ಹೊಡಿತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತು ನಮಗೆ. ಭಯಪಡೋದು. Then waved his hand. Piping hot ladus. My hand was red for 2 days. Because unlike civil servants, I am not thick-skinned, unfortunately. So then he said, this ring. He materialized. Now every time I sing in Sai Gitanjali or a bhajan, anything, I look at that. And I live in that memory. Such was the grace. And he said, ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಗತ್ತೆ. ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಗ್ರೂಪು. Then he said, 20 ವರ್ಷ ಹಾಡಿ. See, that 20 years, I think, came to an end. Sometime about May or whatever, or December, whatever. Then I was wondering, 20 years ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳು ಅಂದರೆ ಅದಾದ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾನೇ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ವೋ ಅಂತ. Then by a coincidence, we came here on 28th May. I also sang a bhajan with another 2-3 devotees sitting here. After I went, he told Gangadhar Shetty, oh, Venkatesha ಇನ್ನೂ ಹಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರಾ? Swami, Papa Gangadhar Shetty announced it in Sai Gitanjali that evening. ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿ. Then I said, oh, he has extended the, so that is the prema. And in the end, the other I can tell you, there is a photograph in my puja room. It was a calendar which in my sister's house, Krishna and Balrama mischievously eating curds and dahi. Balrama is the fairer fellow, he is like this. Krishna is Neelamegha-shyama, and a pot has spilled. So once when Swami came to our house, in 77, I think Mr. Suresh was one of the singers who came there, who is well known here, Vijayanagar. Then the bhajans were over. He spoke to the father-in-law, mother-in-law, they were all there. And then he suddenly found Swami had moved away. So that same venue, for dinner we have to put, he saw that if he is sitting there, nobody will go. Then puja room, he was looking at this particular photograph, which some of you might have seen in my house. Then, like the fool that I am, I said, Krishnadu, Balaramadu. He said, Ledu, dark fellow is Krishna. Krishnadu, Balaramadu. Chudu, em mischief chestaru. And he started singing, Chitta chora yashoda ke bal, navanita chora gopal. Then they said, people said, we were waiting for dinner, what is this bhajan again started? Then he, and I remember that time Lakshmi was serving him. And he was a very poor eater. He used to eat very, very small. And in Puttaparthi, one after a devious adventure, I was forced to go there. Some senior ICS officer forced me to. I said, we have to start at 4 o'clock. He said, 6 o'clock he was not even ready. I couldn't listen. His name was Puri. We just missed Swami in Puttaparthi. Then he said, follow, overtake. I said, nobody overtakes Swami, we follow. Then Baba has already told people, ಅವನು ಬರ್ತಾನೆ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಬರಲೇ ಇಲ್ವಲ್ಲ. ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಅವನಿಗೊಬ್ಬ ಪೂರಿ ಇಂಥ ಬಾಸ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಅವನು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಎದ್ದು ಬರೀ ಪೂರಿ ತಿಂತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಫೆಲೋ ಕಾಂಟ್ ಲೀವ್ ಹಿಮ್, ಬಿಸಿ ತುಪ್ಪ ಬಾಯಿಗೆ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಹಾಗೆ ಉಗಿಯೋ ಹಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. Then his car passed and I was sitting in the front seat. So he said, Swami laughed and said, yeah. Then who was with him in the car? People asked him, ಈಗೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶ? He said, ನನ್ನ ಫಾಲೋಯರು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. Luckily, we had found out from that he is going for a meeting in Anantapur, Women's College, first hall. So we sheepishly followed him. Then we stopped our car outside the gate. And we were waiting because nobody knew where. Swami from the portico of that college walked towards us. We said, ಏನು ಫಜೀತಿ ನಿಂದು? ರಾರ, ಭಯಂ ಪಡತ್. Then he called me. And he said, now that one officer and one man in this means a function, వన మహోత్సవము, షెట్లు వేస్తాము, but unlike your government వన మహోత్సవ, each of these will come up. So he made Mr. Puri plant one tree and made me one. And he said, every time you go on tour to Raichur or this side, you will see it growing taller, which was a fact. Then we walked towards the portico. And he knew I was starving. From morning I had not had breakfast. See, because after darshan. Oh, then he said, Prabha Sridharan, he called Prabha Sridharan, who was there. I think they were having a camp or something. Takes out his own tiffin carrier, Swami's lunch had been packed. He gave it to her. He said, ಇವನು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ವ್ ಆಗ್ತಾನೆ, ಊರಿಂದ ದೂರ ಇದೆ, ಆ ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಭೋಜನಂ ಪಟ್ಟು. ವಾಟ್ ಗ್ರೇಸ್. ಎವ್ರಿ ಮೀಲ್ ಐ ಈಟ್ he is giving me. And then he called her back. ಅದು ಬೆಳ್ಳುಳ್ಳಿ ಆರೋಗ್ಯ, ಬಟ್ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶನ್ಗೆ ಬೆಳ್ಳುಳ್ಳಿ ಇಷ್ಟ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಆ ಚಟ್ನಿ ತೆಗೆದುಬಿಡು. No, see the care. So when he came to our house, Lakshmi said, Swami, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ. Then he turned to me and he said, ಏನು ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಿ, ನನಗೆ ಸಾಯಿ ರಾಮ ಅಂತಾಳೆ, ಶಿ ಈಸ್ ಟ್ರೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಮೀ ಲೈಕ್ ಸಾಪಾಟ್ ರಾಮ. She blushed. Then she said, Amma, me devotion me na annamu. What verse? Your devotion is my food. This is nimitta matra. Others can't survive only a vacuum. So, lastly, so many things he had said. Money is a good servant, but a bad master. ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ತುಂಬ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು, ದುಡ್ಡು ಬ್ಲಡ್ಡು ಸರ್ಕ್ಯುಲೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಮೇಲೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಭಜನ್ಸ್ ವರ್ ಸಂಗ್ ಬೈ ಅನೂಪ್ ಜಲೋಟ, ಪುರುಷೋತ್ತಮ್ ಜಲೋಟ, ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ವರಾಂಡಾ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್. ಬೋತ್ ಸ್ಯಾಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನಿಫಿಷೆಂಟ್. ದೆನ್ ಹೀ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಮೀ, ಅನೂಪ್ ಬೆಟರ್ ಸಿಂಗರ್, Purushottam better devotee. Because he was trying to impress me, Anup, being a young man, with 16 variations, Chekani Raja, 16. No, especially where bhajans have to be followed line by line. Singing a complicated line or a very long line, how will members of the public follow? So he had a lesson for everybody. And he said, that chair, if you visualize it, you are there. In the old days, dhyana avastito tadganena manasa pashyanti yoginaha. We are not of that standard. He said, if you have faith that I am there, I am there. Other things, he himself in the body had to undergo surgery, pain. He said, that comes with the territory. So, you will also suffer your prarabdha, your karma. But like anesthesia during surgery, I will make it bearable. As I said, Swami's sense of humor. Once I met near that gate, Mike Aldrin, just landed on the moon or something. He was one of the 3 fellows in that moon mission. Face looked familiar because Life magazine or Time magazine I must have seen. I couldn't place him. I didn't even know he was a devotee. Then along Swami came, he spoke to me. He said, ಏನು ಸಮಾಚಾರ, ಇವ್ರು ಯಾರು తెలుసుನ? ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಇದ್ದಂತೆ. ಇವರೇ ರೋಡೇ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರೋ ಕಡೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಲೈಕ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಟು ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆನ್ ದಿ ಮಾರ್ಸ್. ನೋ, ఇట్స్ ಎಲ್ಲ ఏమో పుస్తకము రాసింది. హీ హ్యాడ్ రిటన్ ఎ వండర్ఫుల్ బుక్, అవుటర్ స్పేస్ అండ్ ఇన్నర్ పీస్. వెరీ వెరీ డాక్యుమెంట్. సో ఐ వాస్ టేకన్ అబ్యాక్. ఐ సెడ్, and he was standing there, and I said, this is what Swami said. I said, it's very gracious of him, sir. I have only traveled to one planet, but we believe he created Suraj, Chand, Tumne, Vajaya, he created all those planets. So he was earlier and bigger. So I remind myself, when I think I am big, what am I? As I said, one thing I have realized, his full glory, as Kanaka Dasa said, about Swami, the Adishesha with 1,000 tongues, or Narada, Manasaputra of Brahma cannot do justice to you in singing your praise. What about this Dasa, poor Dasa? Shouldn't even try. Each of us, Baba used to say, you are Baba. I am Baba. I know it, you don't know it. Baba is the finished product. Ultimately, you can become, because there can't be something faster than the speed of light. I used to tell physics students. But you can take every step he walked. Once in the auditorium, there was a function. I think Jayaraman, my IAS colleague, he was the Vice Chancellor. Where is Swami? I said, where is function? We thought he would be here, we would say Namaskar. He was there. Would you believe it? He was standing back of the auditorium and asking somebody to speak in the mic, saying, you see, after all, that is the thoroughness he brought into it. Punctuality. Kalaya namaha, kalaya namaha, kalaya. So in the Vishnu Sahasranama, Vishwamurtir, Mahamurtir, Divyamurtir, Aneka Murtir Avyaktaha, Shatamurti, Shatananaha, we see. So here Baba is present. Shatamurti, 1,000 faces, akaras. So, in this, life is an interval between two great events in your life over which you have no control. One is your birth and your death. So you can't decide how long you live, but you can certainly decide how you live. So let us control the things we can. And in management also we tell people, enthusiastic youngsters, oh God, we should pray to God. Give me the strength to change the things I can. 2, give me the humility to accept the things which I cannot change. And the sting is in the tail, and the wisdom to know the difference. There are many things which we can change, we don't even try. We foolishly go on trying to change things which you cannot change. It is like putting your car in neutral gear, pressing the accelerator. You will burn petrol, nothing will happen. So, Vivechana Shakti, Yukta Ayukta Parigyana. That is, above mind and intellect, is to distinguish between priorities. You can't do everything at the same time. So, which do you do first? So that, I think, his life was one of the very big messages. And so many things. Once, I think, Mr. Dhakapa's brother-in-law, he was sitting in that veranda. We were also there. He casually comes and asks that he had just done his engineering or something. Abala andre enu? He said, ladies, wrong. You are all abalas. I am sabala. And so he said, anatha. He said, I thought I am anatha. I have no master. You all have a ratha. Nane aake badava naiya, nane aake paradeshi, srinidhe nirvatanaka. So how can anybody be anatha? Unless you deny God. Whether you deny God or not, He is there, no? And the way He used to talk here, young boys, I could hear them, hostel boys, who have left the house for the first time when the college started. And that fellow was asking, Swami, you tell me to study hard. Then he had made fun of him, saying, you are idar nodri. ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್, ಬಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮೆಸ್ ಟೇಬಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್. He turned his ears. Then he said, Swami, ನೀವು ಹೋಮ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಾ? He said, ಈಗಲೂ ನನಗೆ ಎವರಿ ಹೋಮ್ ದೇರ್ ಈಸ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮೀ. ಈಗಲೂ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಜಂಟನೆ ವೆಂಟನೆ ಕಟ್ಟನೆ ವಾರಂಟಿ. And how he used to say, he came for inauguration of Sai Gitanjali. I was sitting below, bhajans were in the adjoining. He went up the dais. Padmanabhan, the great devotee that he is, he just announced, we will do daily bhajans. We will do daily bhajans. I mean, I was not even singing in Sai Gitanjali. I didn't know exactly the firepower. Then he came down. And he said, "Hey, me Venkateshan." He said, "Swami, ఇదేమో రోజు భజన చేస్తాము ఉంటారే అవుతుందా?" I said, "Swami, మీ అనుగ్రహం ఉంటే ఏమి అసాధ్యము." I said, "If you will it, nothing is impossible." He said, typical IAS reply. ನನ್ನ ತಲೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟ. Earlier in that dais, how humorously he had said, ಈಗ ಭೋಜನಾಲಯ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪಕ್ಕದ ಟೇಬಲ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಿ? ಇಡ್ಲಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ರೀ, MTR ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ರೀ. ಅಯ್ಯಯ್ಯೋ, ಅದನ್ನು ನೀವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಜ್ಞಪ್ಪ ಹೋಟೆಲು ಎಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಮದರ್ ಕುಕ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ತಾಯಿತ್ತು. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಡಾಲ್ಡಾ ಹಾಕಿದರೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಪ್ಯೂರ್ಗಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ. ಸೊ ದಿ ಟಾಕ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಆಫ್ ಈಟ್ ಫುಡ್. Then you go to a ವೈದ್ಯಾಲಯ, that is an hospital. ಏನ್ರಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ? ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಸೊಂಟ ನೋವಮ್ಮ, ಈ ಜನ್ಮಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗೋಲ್ಲ. ಇಫ್ ಶಿ ಈಸ್ ಕನ್ವಿನ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಜನ್ಮಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗೋಲ್ಲ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ? ದುಡ್ಡಾರು ಉಳಿಸ್ಕೋಬೋದು. ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಅದು ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? ನೆಗ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ, ನೋಡೋಕೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗೇ ಇದ್ದರು, ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅಲ್ಲ, ಕೆಲವರು ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ಹೇಳ್ದಿಲ್ಲ, ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ಮಲಗಿದವರು ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಬಿ ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಯು ರಿಯಲ್ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನರಿ. ಇದು ಅದೇ ದೇವಾಲಯ ಮಂಟೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಅಷ್ಟೋತ್ತರ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಟ್ಟುಬಿಟ್ಟು ಪೂಜೆಗೆ ಹೇಳಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವರು ಸತ್ಯನಾರಾಯಣ ಪೂಜೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಜೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಅಂತ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಲೇಡೀಸ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಇಟ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈಸ್ ಟು ಅಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಕಾವೇರಮ್ಮ ಅವರು ಅಲ್ಲ, ಕಾವೇರಮ್ಮ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸೊಸೆ ಓಡೋಗಿದ್ಲಲ್ಲ, ಬಂದ್ಲ? ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಬಂದ್ಲು ಅನ್ಬೇಕು, ಇಲ್ಲವ್ರು ಯಾಕೆ ಓಡೋದ್ಲು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದು ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಗನಿಗೆ ಅದೇನೋ 45% ಅಂತೆ, ಹೇಗ್ರಿ ಸೀಟ್ ಸಿಕ್ತು? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಯಜಮಾನ್ರು ಆ ಕ್ಲಬ್ ಗಿಬ್ಬು ಈಗಲೂ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರಾ? ಟೈಮಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾರ? ಸೊ ಎಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಗಾಡ್, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಎ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಚೇಂಜ್ ಫಾರ್ ಆಲ್ ಸಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕಷ್ಟ, ವೆಸನಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಗಾಸಿಪ್. Old days, the village well used to be a venue, you know. So he said, ಯಾತಕ್ಕೆ ದೇವರು ಏನು ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ? So I am grateful that we have taken Swami's warning, and at age 85, physical age, Swami has given me the energy today to sit here and along with you go over all the past. It has made me feel younger, and especially the youth and the alumni of this thing. In fact, I got a cassette, Bridge Across Times. I said, look, Bhava, Raga, Tala. Without bhava, a bhajan is like a paper flower. See, the real thing comes in the regular party. It's an act of surrender. In fact, yogi is union. So when you sing a bhajan, don't bother. You think only Baba is listening. You will not go wrong. You will not go wrong. Things will happen. Your concentration will be dismayed. And that is the softest option. Then people ask, Yake sir, ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಭಜನೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೋಬೋದಲ್ಲ, ಸಮಿತಿಗೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಸಾಯಿಗೀತ? Satsang. In fact, about the great Tukarama, they say, Adi Zala Satsang, Tuka Zala Panduranga. It all started with a role model, a satsang. Now, when I go, Sai Gitanjali, Salpa parking problem. Then I say there is our elder brother, Mr. Venkateshan, Banishankari. He comes driving. So at least till I reach Venkateshan's age, it is obviously possible. So why do you see people who give up easily? That doesn't mean you walk in the middle of the road without breaking your car, no. But what you can. Whole of life is a journey. Even the sun, it is Uttarayana, Dakshinayana. And from this there is no palayana. You have to accept. One morning you will wake up sleepy. Another morning after 3:30 you can't fall asleep. At that time count up to 10, breathe slowly. And then say, Swami, it is all right. Or as we say, psychologists tell you, today is the tomorrow you are so afraid of yesterday. If it is the Lord's will that you die tomorrow, better not know about it, no, because you will start dying today itself. In conclusion, don't assume everything. Take precautions, slow down a little, but not total. Surdas was blind, but Swami gave him vision. And it would be appropriate to close. And I am glad, I would have mentioned it in any case. The great story of Parikshit. In fact, when Bhagavad Vahini came out, it came in Sanatana Sarthi installments. Swami started with the introduction. I don't know whether in revised edition it is there. He said, he used to tell us also, ಏನು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗಂಡಸರಿಗೆ ಮೆಟರ್ನಿಟಿ ಲೀವ್ ಒಂದಿಲ್ಲ, ಕ್ಯಾಶುಯಲ್ ಲೀವ್, ಅರ್ನ್ಡ್ ಲೀವ್, ಹಾಫ್ ಪೇ ಲೀವ್, ಕೆಲಸನೇ ಮಾಡದೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹಾಫ್ ಪೇ ಯಾತಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು? ಏನು ಕೊಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಫ್ಯಾನ್ಗೇನೆಲ್ಲ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಖರ್ಚಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತಿರಿ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಹಾರ್ಟ್? 21,600 times it rests between two beats. That is why you have diastolic, systolic, dub, dub, lub, dub. Brain, of course, goes on working overtime. ಅದಕ್ಕೇನು ಸರ್ವಿಸಿಂಗ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಫ್ಯಾನ್ ಬೆಲ್ಟ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಹಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಈವನ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಫೋನ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಹಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಪ್ರಾಣಮಯ ಕೋಶ, ಅನ್ನಮಯ ಕೋಶ, ಥ್ರೂ ಯುವರ್ ಫುಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಡಿರೈವ್ಸ್ this thing. So, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ each beat is taking you nearer your end. It may be 21,000 like Vishwesharaya into more than 100. Some people die in their teens. Mandolin Srinivas. I had the privilege of hearing him. Shankaraya Hall I was presiding long ago. A young genius. It was Lord's will. Now, because you don't know it in advance. It is like saying, without seeing your examination question paper, not going to the examination hall itself, in which case you are sure to fail. It is better to go there and fail, at least effort, the question may be simple. So, Parikshit Shuka, he accepted death with that grace. Subhadra, being Krishna's sister, Abhimanyu got both the genes, and this was the son. He was called Parikshit because as a child, he was asking questions. And as a young child, as soon as he was crawling, Amgalidogu, Krishna came naturally. He just crawled towards Krishna. So, Swami used to cite that. There are regular foundations, Sudarshana Kriya, which is Art of Living foundation. Has anybody started an Art of Dying foundation? Bhagavata tells you how to accept death gracefully. You can sort of spend your last days saying, hearing, oh, that happened, this happened. Think only of God, even in death. For that also I will conclude, whether you will remember Him at the time of death. Even Krishna says it in Bhagavad Gita, he will get moksha. That also is his will of God. So Swami used to say it. It's in Anil Kamraju's books also. There was a great devotee who went to some real guru. He told him, ಹೇಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಬರೋದು? He said, ಈ ತರಹ ಮಾಡು. ಅವಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ದೇವರ ಹೆಸರಿಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ರಾಮ, ಕೃಷ್ಣ, ಗೋವಿಂದ, ನಾರಾಯಣ, 4 sons. ಅವರನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ ತಕ್ಷಣ ದೇವರಿಗೆ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಹೇಗಿದ್ದರೂ ಕಡೆ ಮೊಮೆಂಟ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ನಿಂತೇ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಕೇಮ್ and the 4 sons were lined up. So this man remembered that advice. He said, Rama, Krishna, Govinda, Narayana, ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ 5 ಗಂಟೆ ಅಂಗಡಿ ಹಾಕೋ ಬೀಗ ಹಾಕೊಂಬಂದ್ರಿ, died. So he died thinking of the shop. All that naming Rama, Krishna. So let us leave this Punya Bhumi thinking on, just as a cow chews the cud, manana. And to me, it's really, as Swami used to say, every bhajan has a meaning. Govinda Rama, Jai Jai Gopala Rama. In that you get a stanza. Durlabha Rama, Jai Jai Sulabha Rama. What is this Durlabha, Sulabha at the same time? Next line gives the answer. Ekatu Rama, Jai Jai Anekatu Rama. If I say Rama in everyone, Ramas are walking in front of your house. The single Rama, at least you have to go to a temple or somewhere. So we are all mirrors, reflecting the sun that is divinity. Let us try not to be cracked mirrors. Because the sun is a sun, but the image gets distorted because we have this problem. In that, as I said, Swami has sort of used to tell us. ಬಹಳ ಬೇಗ ಕೋಪ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀಯ ನೀನು. ಆ್ಯಂಗರ್ ಕೆಟ್ಟದ್ದಂತಲ್ಲ. Swami he used Durvasa's anger to protect the Pandavas. You must have heard it. See, Pandavas were hiding because Ajñatavasa. So Krishna thought of a ruse. So he came to sage Durvasa and said, "Sir, I want you to do me a favor." He said, "Swami, ನೀವು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ, you are Narayana." Then he said, "ಈಗ ಒಂದು pit will be dug. I will ask the Pandavas to hide there. ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಹಾಕಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ತಾವು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡಿ." ದುರ್ವಾಸ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಎ ರೆಪ್ಯುಟೇಷನ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಕ್ಷಯ ಪಾತ್ರೆಗೂ ಕಳಿಸಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಅವರು. Then they will come. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ರ ಪಾಂಡವರು. You pretend as if you have not seen them. He said, ನನ್ನ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಳ್ಳು ಹೇಳಿಸ್ತೀರಾ? He said, Swami used to say, Krishna told him, ಸುಳ್ಳು ಹೇಳಬೇಡಿ, ಬಟ್ ನಿಜ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟೈಲಲ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳಿ. So along came these Kauravas. And they asked, "Swami, do you see Pandavas here?" He said, "I don't see them." "ಅಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ, ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಬಂದರು, ಈ ಕಡೆನೇ. ನಾನೇನು ಅವ್ರ ತಲೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೂತಿದ್ದೀನ?" He was sitting on their head. The moment he said that, they took to their heels. So Durvasa did not tell a lie. He told this time, our style alla ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. Swami used to, it's a great. Latest Sanatana Sarthi also, General Mahadevan has written a memoir. So, as I said, with my limited understanding of Swami, I don't pretend to have done even 1/100th of justice to the opportunity given to me. But the limitations are entirely on my side. There are so many people, so many and so many and so many. But that is not a matter for regret at all. But try to take every failure as a challenge, as an opportunity. And as long as in this game of snakes and ladders, you are no worse tomorrow than today, it should be good going. Don't have that slide back. Hold on to it. And in holding steadfast, to remain an honest government servant, to be happy with. Another great thing is, if you cannot have what you want, you please start wanting what you have. And what you have is tremendous. Vedanta itself says, I was crying, I had no shoes, till I met a fellow who had no legs. You at least have shoes. You can walk without shoes. You can't walk without legs. So what the God has given you is plenty. Make the best of it. With this, you please follow me in a short bhajan. चरण कमल वंदो साईनाथ के, चरण कमल वंदो। चरण कमल वंदो साईनाथ के, चरण कमल वंदो।
साईनाथ
जो त्रिशवंता पिब चरणामृत जीवन में पावे आनंदो. Trishawanta, Jo Trishawanta, who is thirsty for grace, drinks the Charanamrita. Jo Trishawanta piba Charanamrita जीवन में पावे आनंदो. जो त्रिशवंता पिबा चरणामृत जीवन में पावे आनंदो. चरण कमल वंदो साईनाथ के चरण कमल वंदो. I salute the Baba in each of you. Sai Ram.